and based in London, working with Cambridge Judge Business School on their digital disruption program. We always start, Michael, with some big tech news and yet another big one. So do you want to tell us what's happening in the world of GPT-5? Over to you.
Yeah, so as you probably know, ChatGPT is still the #1 application used there by almost everyone due to the simplicity. It's part of the OpenAI company and the founder, Sam Altman. And Sam Altman made an interesting announcement. I think it was yesterday, so it's brand new, what you're hearing. And he recognized that the complexity they built with their different models, and some of you might know, you have an 4.0, you have a 4 mini, you have an 01. Even the names are very strange. So they want to simplify that to be, of course, more competitive. So he announced two things: GPT-5. And one model which will be there in a couple of weeks, 4.5. So that's the last intermediate step on the path to GPT-5. And GPT-5 will be actually on the front end, so on your side, the user side, one model only. And they use an interesting approach technology, which is called a router. So the router decides both on your tier, so are you free, are you paying a lot, and the request, so are you asking for a simple task, a complex task, a research task. So you bring both two elements together, and this determines which model is used in the background by OpenAI, which simplifies for you because you only have one model, so therefore you don't need to bother which one to use, and it brings down the cost, of course, on the OpenAI side, which is really interesting, which tells us something that simplification, even in this context, is very important, Rob, isn't it?
It is. And now on a practical level, just to go back, let's say that I've been used to using version 4 mini. I like to upload docs. Some versions allow me to do that, some don't. Do I have control as the user on how much functionality I'll be able to access? Or does the router do that for me? And all of those functions are available depending on whether I'm paying a premium or not. I'll be able to access some but not others. So any control that the user has here?
It's a great question. From what we are seeing right now, and again, this is by an announcement, so we don't have the actual solution in place. That will take a couple of months. So he said 4.5 is weeks and 5 is months. So we can expect that maybe June over the summer, so the Northern Hemisphere summer, to come out. What we see is you will have flexibility, you will be able to influence that. You won't be able to influence the model, but you will have access to certain things. And depending on your tier, on certain things you won't have access to. For example, the Canva, for those of you who use that, where you can actually interact even better, that is not available for everyone. The limitations in terms of the models behind kind of the research model and so on is depending on the tier, which you can't set up. So you can do certain things, but not everything.
Yeah, interesting. So thanks for the update there. Now it's interesting. Here we go. Here's our third partner, Markus.
Welcome, Markus. Good to have you here on board as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome from Dubai.
So we were just talking about presenting the announcement, Sam Altman, and the idea behind that, which we wanted to discuss on simplification. So he simplifies and he talks about the roadmap. And I think this is one of the key themes, simplification as a prerequisite and a requirement to actually make GenAI work for organizations, isn't it? I think, Rob, back to you again. I think this is a key element of actually making progress in an organization.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's interesting. I was on a webinar this morning about GenAI and the role that LLMs is having on development and where they're seeing the earliest wins. And simplification, I think, is really key. One of the guys was explaining from Deutsche Bank that unlike so many other technologies where it's come top down, you come to the workplace, there is a lathe or there is a loom for creating weaving, and you have to use it. It's completely the opposite. People are learning this skill at home, bringing it in, and it's for the organization to find a way of them using those skills across the organization. And of course, the simpler the solution, the better. It's just not feasible for them to be developing their own large language models. So bringing in a simple and easy to use version is critical to success. And it was interesting to see the areas where we're seeing most traction. So in the banking sector, clearly there's an awful lot to gain here. The productivity gains so far are around procurement and legal, around risk management. So areas where at the back office, they're seeing most advances. And then coming front office, they see there will be great opportunities to develop better products and much better interfaces with the user, with the customer, using their customer data. But at the moment, we're seeing back office, and to your point, a simple way of different stakeholders from different backgrounds understanding the capability and the use case is key to success so far. Markus, what are your reflections on front office, back office, and where you're seeing the easy and the quick wins?
Front office, back office, upper office, down office, side office. Very interesting topic. I'm glad that Sam Altman is announcing that, in particular in view of some unfriendly takeover bid. I guess I'm spending my week here, the 2 weeks in a row in Dubai with customers in the field of supply chain management, logistics, and global transportation. And we spent the week, Rob and Michael in particular, on how to strategize for the future. And today we had one of the world's leading strategists in the room, and he basically shared with us that the times of connecting the dots is over because the dots are too complicated. And no one knows whether we are actually getting driven by the market or whether we're driving the market, whether we're in front or on the bottom or at the end. And I asked him, so what will happen if we use GenAI for strategizing in the future? And he said, well, that will change the entire modeling again, because all of a sudden we might get a very good and quick answer from GenAI connecting 1 trillion data points rather than the minds in the room. And Michael, you have been a consultant, you know how many hours, weeks, and months people spend on that. So my answer is simplification will simplify our work in terms of strategizing as well, which is the back office basically in terms of giving the strategy, but it will also allow us to simplify the communication of any strategy and why we want to take a certain path. Mind you, the period of strategizing nowadays is between 1 year to 3 years. But many organizations are well advanced to have a master plan maybe for 10 or 20 years, but really 1 to 3 years is what we will look at. Back to you, Mike. Back in your days as a consultant, how much time did you spend on strategizing, and how will simplification of GenAI help you?
I think it's a great question, Markus, and it shows a little bit 2 ideas. One is this discussion and your contribution reminds me of that article, is GenAI replacing the CEO? And there's a study around that. So that was an interesting one, which we share in our trainings. And to your point, I mean, part of the value chain of consultants is, of course, a lot of analysis and a lot of kind of connecting the dots, as you described that. And it will be interesting to see kind of how consultants go about that. How much is there a reduction in work, overall work? That is a huge challenge for consultants. On the other hand, increasing complexity in the overall world, of course, increases demand for consultants. And so when you look at overall, consulting has always been on a very strong growth trajectory. Even when people said, "Oh, it's no longer necessary." And still the demand increased. I think we are at an interesting point, and we'll see. Kind of reality will check that if it's still true. So all the big consultants, of course, investing heavily to support their consultants to be better and faster. So that they can gain part of that market share. And at the same time, in organizations, it's a great way. I had a training this week on consultative selling skills, and kind of the participants for one of the tasks exercises used, of course, ChatGPT, and it helped them tremendously. They then said, oh, that is actually really good results. Yeah, we can work with that. And this is the idea, that people are getting convinced what you get out of there is a really very solid 70-80% solution, but it's not all your work. And I think that's the point, Rob. You need to do something with it, isn't it? I mean, it's like kind of, you have that on the plate, but then you have to, I don't know if you eat, what's the right image, but you have to do something with what you get from there.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a case of understanding what are you trying to achieve, what are your goals, and understanding that you can get there quicker by developing this 70%, 80% response. But let's always remember that if we go blind and expect GPT is going to do all the answers, come up with the answers, we are mistaken. And so we must keep this very human eye check that we've got the right results, sense check this, and we need also to win over confidence. There are others in the organization who maybe haven't got there yet. And we need to make sure that when we're developing our proofs of concept, before we move into MVP, that we've really thought through the stakeholders and where they're coming from. And if there's some doubts about the premise or how we've got there, take a step back, because if you go in there and you've not managed expectations, you can't expect that your business case will be signed off.
Absolutely. So, Rob, thank you very much. So, Markus, back to you as a kind of final comment. And what's a good way to engage, and where do you see kind of we can add most value to organizations and help them along the way in this on this path?
I guess what you see is what you get. You see the three of us working on the ground with organizations of all sizes, small, medium, and large. At the moment, I'm in a very large organization. Michael just mentioned he did a consultative selling seminar with probably medium-sized organization. Rob, it does anything from SMEs to MNCs, and we have our boots on the ground basically. Every week we get to expose to the latest questions. Every week we have to give answers about DeepSeek and about latest technologies, which Michael is alerting us every week to. And we applied to your success. We answered very simple questions, and we don't try to complicate things. And we can give a promise that whatever we do with you, you will be able to adopt very, very quickly. And that we do in seminars and through our wonderful simulation called GenAI Maverick, which I just tested with MBA students this week. And I think it replaced entirely my content, and they rather play a simulation than listening to me for 1.5 hours, guys.
Absolutely. Really interesting kind of insights. And look, if you want to know more, reach out to us or join the regular newsletter where we share some insights as well. You see the link here, community.beyondtheobvious.co/newsletter, and the QR code on the top. If you are on the mobile at the moment, just kind of scan that. Reach out to us via LinkedIn or any other channel. By the way, we are also in Doha very soon at the Web Summit in Doha. Very excited about that, with a booth on the Tuesday. That's the 25th. So we might do actually a live from there potentially together in person. So if you happen to be there, I know there's about 10,000 people at least, or 15,000 people coming. Say hello. We'd love to see you in person and have a chat with you. And Rob, kind of some final words from your end.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. It's great to get these digests, the latest tech and the experiences of how this is being applied. Of course, every business is different. We're very keen to hear what your challenges are. So please keep in contact, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
I love the outro. I always look forward